Good afternoon and welcome aboard. Today we're travelling from Glasgow Queen Street to Edinburgh Waverley on this ScotRail BR Class 314 EMU. Let's get the cab set up, if I can remember which way the key goes. I've not had my coffee this morning. Let's get the safety systems enabled, TPWS and DSD. GSMR, not really working on the 314, but let's press OK anyway. Headlights, destination lights, all the usual cab setup buttons and levers and switches. I'd like to do a bit more in-depth cab setups in the future, which I shall most certainly do. But for now, we're just taking a casual passenger run from Glasgow to Edinburgh. Nothing too complex or stressful. I think I'm a few seconds behind schedule, but let's get going. Forward gear and apply some power. Just about to enter the tunnel, which has an annoyingly steep 2.2% gradient uphill. It's more annoying coming back into Queen Street than it is leaving, having 2.2% downhill gradient. So just be aware of your speed and your braking. The tunnel takes you through quite a large chunk of the city. Above us will be the Buchanan bus station, Buchanan Galleries, Glasgow University. We'll also be crossing the M8 motorway, which obviously runs through the city. And we should be coming out into the daylight at Sighthill Park. Can pick up a little speed now. We have a 50 mph limit. And we're back into the daylight. Thank goodness, I hate tunnels. We can't see it very well from here, but to the right is Sighthill Park. I decided to do the Glasgow to Edinburgh run as my first video on this channel for Train Sim World because I was born in Glasgow. Although I didn't grow up in Glasgow. I grew up in a place called Livingston. That's in West Lothian, just to the east of Glasgow, until I was 17. And then my family moved to York in Yorkshire. And I spent nearly 30 years there. But I'm back in Scotland now. We will actually be passing my house on this route. I live just at the eastern end of the tunnel at Falkirk High. That should be the Eastfield depot to the right. I'm sure you'll have plenty of opportunity to do some scenarios or timetables in and out of Eastfield depot. Should be approaching Bishopbriggs, our first stop. Although the game is not giving me an ETA for Bishopbriggs. I wonder why. Normally on a scenario we get an ETA for a stop. Okay, it didn't ask me to drop passengers off or pick any up, so it was just a case of stopping and starting again. Well, I've wasted a few seconds. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I'm a bit of a horn addict, so I can't resist pressing the horn sometimes. But yeah, I shouldn't have done that. There was no whistle board. Just running through a few of the internal and external cameras. I use a controller rather than keyboard mouse. If you're not familiar with it, if you hold down the right stick and press left on the D-pad, you'll get the internal cameras rotation, and holding down the right stick and the right D-pad will rotate the external cameras. Or if you are using mouse keyboard, I'm sure you're all familiar with number 1 for the cab view, number 2 and 3 for the externals. Actually, you can press 2 twice and 3 twice. You'll get front and rear cameras. And number 8 for the flyby. And, well, actually, it's not really a flyby, it's a free cam. And 0 will give you the on-screen menu for internal and external cameras. I've been quite fortunate on this scenario with the weather. Normally the west coast of Scotland, particularly Glasgow, it's chucking it down with rain, but we've got some sunshine and a little cloud, which is nice. I'm on a dynamic weather setting, so that may not last. It looks like I'm not scheduled to stop at Lenzie, so sorry Lenzie folk, you'll have to wait for the next train. Let me know if the external volume is too annoying, too loud, because sometimes I'm talking inside the cab and then the camera goes outside, and it can sometimes overwhelm the dialogue. So I can edit it later, but I would rather try and find a nice sweet spot between outside volume and voice. Yes, I do like my external camera views. It can get a little boring sitting in the cab on some of these long straights. It's a very small window on the 314. Not as small as the 385's window. Now that is a small window. There was a patch recently this week for the Midlands Main Line, particularly for improving shadow tracks, or track shadows I should say. It could certainly use it on this older Edinburgh-Glasgow route, because there's nothing more distracting than having 10 meters in front of shadow and then nothing. So yeah, that would be a great improvement. Some fine control of the camera with the controller. I love the precision that small, precise movements can make on the external camera, rather than the number 2 camera, which rotates slightly differently. Let's pretend it's a little warm today. Let's get some ventilation by opening the cab window. Well, that'll make it a little bit noisier in the cab. Actually, there's no reason to pretend that it's warm, because it's actually pretty warm in Scotland this last week or so. We've been averaging about 20-22 degrees. It's been real nice, makes a change. That's Celsius, by the way, not Fahrenheit. I've just closed the window again. It is a little noisy in the cab with the window open. Here's a better, less noisy way to keep cool. I'll turn the fan on. That should keep me nice and cool. I'd love to see these rock formations in Unreal Engine 5, if we ever get Unreal Engine 5. I'm not sure if Unreal Engine 5 is suitable for a simulator. I'll pull the blind down as well. Don't want to get blinded by the sunshine. Been keeping to the speed limit, so hopefully we can get to Falkirk High on time. We can just see the Campsie Hills in the background there. It's a lovely, lovely area. And here we are at my home city of Falkirk. This is the Falkirk High station. It's called High for a reason. It's pretty high. The path you've got to go down, or the road you've got to go down to get into town, is pretty steep. And there's another station in town called Falkirk Grahamston. Unfortunately, not modelled in this particular route. It's mentioned, but it's not modelled. And off we go again. Still keeping pretty good time. And next stop should be Haymarket. Yes, it's Haymarket, as it says on screen, which means we're not stopping at Polmont, and we're not stopping at Linlithgow. Yes, it's another tunnel. There's also a cycle path by the canal, which also goes under this particular tunnel, just slightly south of us. It's pretty scary. I don't like tunnels. Just to let you know, I actually do like tunnels in the game. I just don't like tunnels in real life. Not at all. Thankfully, it's not a very long tunnel. See, we're out of it already. And as I pan the camera around, that is my home in that little estate, somewhere near the top behind all those trees. It's not a bad little area. Got some nice farmland around here. There's Shield Hill with some nice grassland. which I can see perfectly from my back window. Watching the farmer, because I also have an interest in Farming Simulator, so I get to see the farmer doing all his silage work, cutting grass. It's great. Sorry for the impromptu Ring doorbell notification. I forgot to turn my notifications off. And we're just passing the Pullman station, which has a plaque memorializing the July 1984 rail disaster, which happened just west of Pullman. It's a nice empty route now between here and Edinburgh, only Linlithgow in between Edinburgh and here, so I'll speed up the video. Here we are passing through the Royal Borough of Linlithgow, which is a very, very nice place. Very nice. We were actually thinking about retiring here within the next 10 years. Nice little place to settle down. Strangely, the Royal Palace has not been modelled in the game. I don't know why. Maybe it was a licensing issue. I don't know. There's lots of other structures in this game around Britain have been modelled, but the palace in Linlithgow, nothing. Okay, let's speed things up again, because it's still another few miles to go to Edinburgh, with some nice countryside, but there's not much happening in the train. I think we're still making good time. The nice blue sky seems to have disappeared, and it looks like we're getting a little rain. Yes, here it comes. I better stick the wipers on. That's typical of Scotland. Oh, always raining. Might as well get rid of the sun visor, since there isn't any. I really thought I'd get through the entire scenario with sunshine, but clearly not. Bloody rain.
Oh, it's good Scottish weather, madam. The rain is falling straight down.
Okay, let's just ignore the fact William Wallace just hacked my GSMR and called me madam. Well, it must be getting a little cool by now, so let's turn that fan off. I'll try and capture an external view of the Amman Valley Railway Viaduct. Should be just coming up to it now. Just going to be passing Edinburgh Park any moment now. So I'll take us into Edinburgh in real time now. We're so close. If it wasn't for the awful weather, we could have seen Edinburgh Zoo to the left, just up on Corstorphine Hill. But we should be able to get a glimpse of the Murrayfield Stadium, which is coming up very shortly, just before Haymarket. And I do believe I have one of the mastery items that you can win, which gives you some blue and white striped tents, showing off the Scottish flag, the saltire. I should start reducing my speed shortly, just to get us down to a safe stopping speed for Haymarket. There is a neutral zone in this area. I'm not sure if it's working as it does for the 87 on West Coast Mainline over Shap. But I had been caught out a few times on this route years ago when I didn't understand neutral zones. But for some reason, on some of the trains I was driving, I can't remember what, I heard a sound, and my engine or my emergency brakes just cut in, and I didn't understand why. So I'm guessing it was to do with the neutral zone. There's Murrayfield Stadium to the left, just visible in this weather. The home of Scottish rugby and obviously pop concerts. And there's Haymarket Traction Maintenance Depot to the left, which we couldn't really use until the engineering pack came out, so I do recommend that one if you like the Class 66s. I do like to come into the larger stations in third-person camera mode, so I will try to stay in cab view in future, but yeah, I do like my external camera views. Get my speed right down. Don't forget the rule of thumb, 30 miles per hour at the start of a platform on average, and try to be about 15 halfway down a platform, and then come to a nice gentle stop. A minute early. Well done, Dave. It's unheard of in British Rail. We've got about a minute of waiting time, so let's have a little fly around Haymarket while we wait. Better than walking out in the rain. Just be going to close the doors in a moment, and then we can get on our way. Just got one more scary tunnel to go through, which takes us under the west end of Edinburgh and at the bottom of Edinburgh Castle. We should get a nice glimpse of the castle once we come out of the tunnel. And let's go. This was one of the tunnels that I never liked as a young person because I got stopped in it once or twice, particularly when it was flooding. And there's nothing worse than getting stopped in a dark, long tunnel, particularly when there's heavy rain and flooding. I'll just pan up, have a little glimpse of the castle. Fantastic. Built on top of an old extinct volcano. It's well worth a visit if you've never been. And if you stop the train on the tracks at 1 p.m. every day, or run along from the station on foot, you can hear the 1 o'clock gun, what they used to call the time gun, every day. First fired way back in 1861. People used to set their watches by the 1 o'clock gun, but obviously we don't need that nowadays. It's just a tradition now. I wouldn't really class this as a tunnel, it's more just a long bridge. Just as we're coming into the west side of Waverley Station. One of my favourite stations. I know it very well. But back in the day, I'm showing my age now, back in the day, the steps leading up to Princess Street, there was no escalators or lifts. You had to walk up all those steps. It wasn't too bad as a kid, but now, yeah, it's a bit of an effort. And of course, there's the lovely sound of the bagpipes. I love the bagpipes. There we go. Stopped a little few feet short there and a few seconds late, but altogether not too bad. Hopefully you've enjoyed this journey. I know it was a long one, but I had to do my home route on my first video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you don't have the route, I thoroughly recommend it. I'll just shut the cab down, get my wipers off to get my lights off, back into neutral, and turn my master key off and let the AI take over. I shall finish for today. Hopefully see you in the next video, which I'll upload shortly. I don't know what I'll be doing. I'll try to do it a little shorter than this one. An hour video is a bit long to watch, but hopefully you enjoyed it. See you all very soon. Tatty bye.